Watkins Glen, New York's Seneca Lodge. Boy, if walls could talk, this is a place so steeped in the history of North American and American sports car and road racing. Welcome to the Continental Tire 150 at the Glen, round 4 of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge. Great to have you with us. I'm Greg Creamer, joined by Calvin Fish. And I'll tell you what, folks, one of the big stories here is the track repaving, $12 million worth, and the weather today respecting it after being a bit damp yesterday, keeping fluid off the track. A gorgeous day at the Glen. Temperatures 71 degrees, beautiful. Slight wind, low humidity, and the key word at the bottom there, sunny. It is gorgeous. Now, it's been a long time since our previous race in the championship, and it's been a long distance from Monterey back in May all the way to the East Coast and Watkins Glen International. Cal, with that repaving, this track, a great one to start with, better than ever.
It really is. 3.4 miles in length, 11 turns. The layout of this mega circuit remains unchanged, Greg, but with the repave now as smooth as Corning glass. There's a massive increase in grip. It's very fast. No real slow corners here. Key overtaking areas are down into turn 1, into the inner loop, and the boot should see plenty of action, particularly turn 8. It's a great track, a real driver's favorite.
And a great place to kick off what's going to be an absolutely fraught stretch of the season. 4 races starting here in the next 6 weeks. As you look at the schedule, we might be talking about frying pan into the fire. I mean, the next race is next weekend. But, Cal, over 2 months since the last round for some of these competitors, it's been sort of the recliner into the fire this weekend. But not for a lucky few, and certainly for one very talented driver.
Well, when everyone left Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca to celebrate that break, our GS Championship leader, Billy Johnson, got busy. Straight to Spa for the second round of the World Endurance Championship, the WEC, in preparation for the Ford GT Assault on Le Mans. And as we know, Ford celebrated victory there, and Billy brought his car home in 4th position. With second fastest race lap, it was a tremendous debut performance. And with the double points awarded there, he currently leads the championship in the WEC. Truly a remarkable achievement, but don't expect his competitors to do him any favors today. He needs to get back to business.
And he also leads in the GS Championship with Scott Maxwell, so leading 2 titles. Now, in ST, Street Tuner, a big story, Cal, a major surprise sprung by the Minis, sweeping the front row in a damp qualifying, but will they stay there?
Well, if you base it on the season so far, you'd expect the Minis to backpedal a little bit in the dry today and look for ST Championship leader Chad Gilsinger to come to the front. He's qualified 3rd, has won here before, but he's working with his 3rd different teammate this year. Michael Valiente still not 100% after his hit at Sebring, and for this race and the next round, his Honda factory driver Ryan Eversley will fill that seat. He's won here in 2014, so both those guys now had to find victory lane.
Yeah, not a bad sub, and they qualified 3rd right behind the Minis. But now, let's get back to Grand Sport and meet the 3rd member of our broadcast team, Brian Till. And Brian, in this category, there are some interesting points and other machinations unfolding.
Oh, absolutely, Greg. And if you look at Scott Maxwell's pole, that was the 2nd pole position of the season, and it's a series record-tying 12th. So that's good news for he and Billy Johnson. They lead the championship like you talk about. But really, the fastest car over the last couple of races has been the number 12 Body Motion Porsche Cayman GT4. Cameron Castles and Trent Hinman in that car. They have won the last 2 events. This racetrack should be very good for them. And they are 5th in the Drivers' Championship because they did not run at Daytona. So they're trying to climb their way up. But they've been saddled, all of the Porsche Caymans have been saddled with an extra 50 pounds of balance of performance here at Watkins Glen. Long, fast racetrack. What is that 50 pounds going to do? Well, we're going to have to wait and find out. We'll find out at the end of this race. They'll roll off in 6th today. But also, manufacturer's points on the line. Now, think about it this way. Porsche in front right now, 3 points ahead of Ford, and they want that manufacturer's championship. And Aston Martin, well, they're in there too, only 9 points in arrears. For more on Street Tuner, here's Justin Bell.
Said it, the Minis are on the front row, and however they got it, believe me, they are very happy at this big race here at Watkins Glen. But of course, lining up behind them is that brace of Hondas, who, by the way, I'm sure will make an attack early on, and the Minis know it. But if you're fans of the series, you may think to yourself, one of the top pairings is missing. Owen Trinkler, Sarah Catania, where are they? Well, they've just made a switch to Nissan. Joe Catania was approached by Nissan. They want to get into this series, make a big splash. Remember, this team won at Sebring, so they're the ideal pairing to go with moving forward. They may be at the back of the grid. Their car was too shiny and nice to run in the wet, but believe me, they were 4th in practice, so they'll be making their way to the front. A lot to watch in the exciting ST class. Guys?
Oh boy, there is, and Grand Sport as well. We are about to get going with this fourth round of the championship. Here's a look at the Continental Tire starting grid across the top of your screen, and you can see Scott Maxwell with that pole also becomes the only Grand Sport driver in series history with 2 poles here at the Glen. And now it is race time. The green flag is out. We are racing down this front straight, and first attack down into this newly repaved turn 1 at race speed for these cars. And Cal, the reports are the grip is off the charts.
It really is. Good side-by-side action early in the going. 3 abreast there as the ST field head down through turn 1. Then it's about 2/3 of a mile before they're going to be lifting off the gas and getting on the brakes for that inner loop. Look at this, really wide car in the fence.
That is the number 56, Jeff Mosing, one of the top competitors in ST. And now a number of cars getting involved. I think we may see the number 26. That might be Liam Dwyer and one of the Freedom cars involved. A few others got contact, Cal. The rest able to check up.
Mosing just got to the outside of 3 lanes of traffic there. They're already in the dirty part of the racetrack, and they just eased their way across, forcing him into the gray. No grip there. Continental Tire's relatively cool here. Just a parade lap, remember to get the tire temps up, and big carnage early in the going.
Yeah, you can see some of the other cars involved, and that looks like another Mazda that was caught out in
Danny
that.
Bender, I think 27.
So. Yep. That's the number 34 Alara car involved as well. Yeah, and they started well up.
Just watch here, they're coming in there. 3 abreast into turn. There's a little bump there. That Honda moves across, and that just forces Mosing wide into the dirt, into the Armco barrier, and just a lot of hits going on right there.
Yep, 27 Bender, 34, and the 25. Watch from Liam Dwyer's seat. Excuse me, this is from McCumbie's seat in the Mod Space car.
This is Chad Gilsinger, our championship leader. He slides across a little bit, gets into the 22. That forces him across into Mosing. So the championship leader, they dodged a big bullet.
Oh. Not so much for the team car. Watch this.
Just no way to go.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just threading the needle there up through the S's. And if it goes wrong with that many cars in this field today, it's going to result in what we're looking at.
That was a 4 abreast battle in the S's for 4th on the opening lap. That's pretty fierce stuff, but I guess it does speak to just how intensely competitive it is. And for this team, Cal, in particular, 3rd in the points coming in, only 5 out of 2nd. This is a huge hit, literally and figuratively.
Oh, it is. They won at Daytona the opening round, followed it up with another strong finish at the last race of the championship. So this is devastating. Eric Force, of course, our 2014 ST champ. Looking for great things this year.
Yeah, and that's not just a flat tire, that's suspension damage. That came from that initial hit. So this is going to be a long stop for one of our championship contenders. So we're going to stop as well under our first full course caution. Lights out on the pace car here at the Continental Tire 150 at the Glen. That means going to green next time by start finish. But they've got now a good 2 miles yet to wind their way around. So Cal, let's go back, take a look at what precipitated this caution. And it was a pretty aggressive 3 to 4 wide move here.
Well, I think this increase in grip may have given these drivers a lot of confidence to try and do those sort of moves, but you could see there it was really tight between the 93, the 22, and the 56. The 56 is on the outside. Here's another look at it from on board the 25 car. This is now going to turn in. A little touch there between the 93 and the 22. Then watch the inside car. That's Gilsinger, gets out wide, gets into that Porsche Cayman, and that just forces him directly into the path of the 56 of Jeff Mosing.
Now on board with the driver of the 26, Liam Dwyer, and nowhere to go, Cal.
There wasn't. You could see him looking in his rearview mirror, make sure he didn't get run over. Then suddenly all of that traffic came right across his path. Big damage there.
And let's get down to the pits. Brian Till with one of our championship contenders.
Absolutely a championship contender, but Jeff Mosing, this is not the way to win a championship sitting here. From your seat, what happened out on the racetrack?
People were trying to get the race finished in turn 1. I went wide on purpose to get out of the melees, got back on track, had at least a lane and a half going up through the S's and got pushed out by the 22 car. You know, the worst part about that whole scenario wasn't the initial impact. It was coming to a stop knowing that nobody's going to be able to miss us. And I think that's what might end up doing us in was the secondary But, you know, as a race car driver, I'm like, I got to get it home. These guys can maybe, you know, get us back together and get us back outside. You know, we're in a championship. This is one race. So, you know, the guys are doing a great job with the car, and it's disappointing that we couldn't get the car up front for Ken and them.
They're working on it, and we're going back to green, guys.
We have gone back to green, exactly, down into turn 1. And you can see a battle for that 3rd and 4th spot in Grand Sport. Now the ST field making its way down through turn 1. And one of the things that we might have been expecting to see here, Cal, is the fact that with this new pavement, there isn't a racing groove that's been sort of grooved in yet. So there are possibilities of 2-3 abreast in certain spots on this track.
There really are, and I think particularly if we see traffic scenarios later in the race with a battle for the lead, you're going to see guys get really innovative with different lines because they'll find grip in areas that you typically didn't before. So it's really relearning Watkins Glen.
Into the inner loop, there are the minis running 1-2, then those 2 Hart Hondas, and already the attack is on.
Yeah, Ice Shoes got ahead of his teammate Gilsinger there. He's the first of the Hondas, putting the pressure on the second mini. Tremendous job in qualifying by those guys to sweep the front row. But meanwhile, it was Canada Day yesterday for qualifying. 2 Canadians on the front row, Maxwell and Burkett, who duke it out at the front right now.
They did their own celebrating, didn't they, as we head now into our 4th of July weekend. And as we've seen these two do previously, Cal, certainly at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, those 2 cars, Maxwell in that Ford and Burkett in that Porsche, were able to gap the field early. They're doing it again.
They are. I mean, I think both of these marques, the Ford and the Cayman, have excellent platforms. There's a 37. That's the 3rd of the minis. That's not one of the front row starters. That's the 3rd mini in that stable. Qualified towards the rear of the field and having early problems. But yeah, this battle is going to be intense. I mean, the Cayman's got 50 more pounds, as Brian said. And the Mustang typically struggles a bit more with tire degradation. But when you have more grip, Greg, typically that means you're not sliding the tire as much. And this is one of the things, there's a big question mark coming into this race in both classes. The cars that typically suffer with the tires going away a little bit, maybe they'll hang on a little bit longer today.
The other side of the coin, from what we've been hearing from the tire engineers, is this new pavement has not been polished yet, which makes it a little reflective, so it holds heat. If the sun stays out, it's sunny.
It is. It's going to be high track temperatures as we now looking at the field here. Gilsinger's moved up to that 3rd position. So he's gotten around his teammates. There's been a little bit of a shuffle there in the top 5. Chad McCumbee, another driver who's on the move right now. I believe he's in the 4th position.
Boy, it looks like Ike may have lost some serious momentum whenever that exchange happened, because he's plummeted now from 3rd. He was in 6th as they crossed the line. He may have lost another spot yet.
Yeah, he's certainly going backwards a little bit. Right now, the minis, the pace looks good. I mean, this is a big surprise. We knew they did a great job, had great grip in the wet, Brian, but are you surprised at what we're seeing?
Well, I actually kind of am, Calvin, because I spoke to James Vance, who's in that number 52 Mini, just before the race. I said, you guys were great in the wet. What's it going to be like in the dry? And he said, you know, we can make the lap time that everybody else can, but we make it in a different way. We make it through the apex of the corners as you see him head down through portions of the boot, I should say. But he said, we're about 3 miles an hour off on the straightaways, and these Hondas especially are very quick, and it's the end of the straightaways where the passes happen. We've got to get a lead and get out in front. Otherwise, we're going to get eaten up in those fast sections of the racetrack.
So I guess the question is, does that mean right now Derek Jones is playing wingman to perfection?
He is, but there's a real battle right now. Look at McCumbee. He's got to the inside there. You can see the 93 car. Gilsinger stretches it a little bit. This is going to be another great overtaking opportunity down here into turn 8. There's a little bit of runoff room, but you do have to abide by the track limits. As Gilsinger now gets a run, he looks to the inside. Late move. Takes the 2nd spot side by side through turn 9. Makes it stick.
That was a great pass. We also saw Aish be able to get back into 5th as he worked his way around the 22 of Chris Wright, that Goldcrest number 22 Porsche. And see if Aish now is able to run this group back down again. And McCumbee would have watched that pass by Gilsinger. He's become a pretty quick study. Look on board here. Oh, that is the 22. Just mentioned him. TheRightCars.com, Goldcrest Porsche.
He's been in the wars a little bit. Looked like he may have dodged another big bullet. He was involved, obviously, the meat in that sandwich and that first lap incident. Now he's got it back out of the tire wall without enough damage to really give him a problem, but he's got the rear wheel stuck. Could be a caution here.
Burkett would love to be able to duck around, but it looks like we are. Full course caution. Second one, so the field neutralized once again. As we sit, actually as he sits, the number 22 of Chris Wright, that'll be mega frustrating because he was able to move. He just, as soon as he stopped after backing into the gravel, that was it. Really needed to just keep it in reverse and keep backing up. But now let's go back and see what may have happened here, Cal. It's the safety team from Watkins Glen having a chat with Chris. Here we go. Oh, this is the 93's pass on the 20, on the Mini from the 25.
At a turn 8, just gets good acceleration, and that's the power that James Vance was talking about to Brian. Gilsinger makes it stick. Then McCumbee, defending race champion here with his teammate Stephen McAleer, just holds position there in the 4th position.
Got that done, obviously, before this caution came out, so it sticks. And the field is once again neutralized as we are working, and there you can see the intervention vehicle coming out on track.
Tell you what, when we were on board there for a moment with Gilsinger, here's a look at what happened to the 22. Just gets roughed up a little bit on that high-speed corner. That's the 84 Cook getting into the side of him. A little bit aggressive there. I mean, there's so much speed that you're really not decelerating much now with the amount of grip that we're seeing. Stewards may take a closer look at that one.
Absolutely. One of the things we're hearing too with this additional grip is driver fatigue. G-loads in the car is much higher. This is an unknown quantity. We'll be back with more of it in just a minute. Beautiful view of Seneca Lake, second longest of the legendary Finger Lakes here in upstate and western New York. We're back with the Continental Tire 150 at the Glen, about ready to go to green. Before we do, we want to get back and show you the onboards. We've been meaning to get to them. Unfortunately, one has gone away, so the 25, and that is the defending class champions, now in the Freedom Autosport mod space. Mazda, Chad McCumbee at the wheel right now. Then we will also be able to ride on board with the number 93 points leading Honda America race team, Hart Honda, currently wheeled by Chad Gilsinger, who is now up into second spot. And this caution brought Vance right back to him, so this battle could be interesting. And then at the very front of the field, we'll be able to ride on board with the number 15 Multimatic Ford from Ford Performance, Scott Maxwell from Pole on board, and we'll be bringing it home. And as you take a look out the window, you see the pace car has made its escape. So we are anticipating green this time, working their way through turn 11, and Maxwell times it, but Burkett went with him, Cal.
He did. Let's see if he can get a run down into turn 1 as we go green.
Maxwell's defending. He's not comfortable with it here.
Burkett slides to the outside. Can he do the undercut here and get better exit out of turn 1? He gets a good run there.
Oh, he had it. Does he get to the inside, though? That's the question. He might be there, Cal. Side by side, dips the brake. That's going to give Maxwell the outside run.
Yeah, thought better of it, and that was going to be awfully tight there as Scotty Maxwell just hangs on to the lead here in the Mustang.
And Holton attacking on Bechtelsheimer. That multicolored Compass 360 Ford sitting in 4th.
Got to run in Ross second. Key overtaken spot. Holton goes to the inside. A late move. He's over the curb. Bechtelsheimer comes back at him.
Holton still inside.
Awesome.
Wow, great racing. Both guys giving each other enough room and being willing to use that curb. And Burkett really tried to make it outside again on Maxwell. And it cost him a little bit of speed through the inner loop, is now heading down through the laces into the toe of the boot.
Well, certainly Burkett has been a revelation this year. He's led a ton of laps. Haven't seen victory circle yet, but it's just a matter of time. Shown tremendous speed, poise, and you could see it there in his racecraft. Didn't push it when he knew it was going to get ugly.
And those next couple of cars that pop into the frame, the 09 of Putman, then I think it's Giovannis, and then the 99 of Ecklin-Cal. While we were in break, they ducked into the pits, topped those cars off. That seems to me like maybe a pretty solid strategy move.
That was a great move because they really didn't lose any track position, and with the wave around when you get with the full course procedure, it was basically a freebie. So they're topped up with fuel, it increases their fuel window by about 20 minutes. So we'll see how that one plays out. Still too far to go to do it on one more start, about 50, 55 minutes for the GS cars. Full fuel load, green flag racing.
This may be one of the best weekends so far I have seen Charlie Putman put in a long time. Great qualifying run, and he has worked his way not only around Eklund, but he's gone around Castles as well, and now sits in 5th. Charlie Putman, and he turns over to another Charlie, Espenlaub. Pretty good pairing there.
Well, it's great to see Charlie back in full form. Remember, he had that horrendous injury when he was out on his four-wheeler. I think it was about a year or so ago, and really lucky to survive that moment. He's back in a race car, the thing that he loves to do best, and he and Charlie are certainly a great pairing. Work so well together.
And as we watch Scott Maxwell leading in that Multimatic Ford under huge pressure again from Burkett up into the inner loop, and again, Maxwell has to shallow the entry, but it works for him. And Brian Till, you must have a nervous co-driver standing with you right now.
Yeah, I think his nerves are probably pretty on edge here, like you said, Greg, but hey, he just came from Le Mans, so you know nerves, Billy. Watching Scott right now on the racetrack, he's got his hands full of an Aston Martin. What does he need to do to stay in front of that car? You look at the performance of the two of them, what can he do?
And Scott is driving his heart out. He's a world-class driver and giving it everything he's got right now. But everybody at Ford Performance and Multimatic has worked really hard to give us the best car we have. Scott's really happy with the handling balance of the car, and it's a close race. So we'll see if we're going to be able to stay in contention on the back half of the race. And man, this is close. We'll see if we're able to stay in contention for the second half of the race, and hopefully it'll be a little bit closer than it was at Laguna Seca.
Well, I know this is exciting, but just real quickly, Le Mans, I mean, talk about nerve-wracking. That had to be incredibly nerve-wracking and special for you. How important was it to you to get a chance to go do that with a company like Ford?
That was just amazing. I'm so honored to be an American racing driver, and so honored and appreciative of everybody at Ford Performance who believed in me, for Larry Holt, who gave me a chance to drive the car, being one of 2 Americans driving for the iconic Ford brand for the first time in my career at Le Mans in Ford's 50th anniversary of their historic 1-2-3 finish. What can you say? That was just a huge moment, and yeah, we ran great. We had 3 cars in the top 5. We finished 4th. We won the race, so that was a mega thing for the 68 car, and couldn't have been better, but yeah, really happy and proud to be a Ford driver.
Yeah, it was a red, white, and blue weekend there, and hey, July 4th holiday weekend, a little red, white, and blue here in the Ford camp, and a Mustang out in front.
Pretty special stuff, and another Mustang coming hard astern. Paul Holton has gone around Bechtolsheimer, run these guys down, and Cal, that time going into turn, Holton getting a great run on the back of Burkett as Maxwell parked him, but going into turn 1, Maxwell's protective line in, he had to kind of pitch it and slide it into the turn. That's not going to help those tires, is it?
It isn't, and I think it's really compromising his lap time as we see the battle as McCumbee up front now. He's taking the lead in ST as the Mini has dropped back to the 3rd position, but you're right, and I think that's what's allowed Paul Holton in the GS battle to get to the leaders, because Maxwell's compromising his line, and that means the lap time isn't going to be there. Great battle in both classes right now.
Aish hunting for 3rd, looks to the inside, a little late, going down into the laces of the boot, and Jones not giving it to him easy. Aish will be stuck on the outside, but maybe a better concern is Tyler Cook now. If he follows the Mini right down underneath, Cal.
But remember, there's grip all the way around this racetrack right now. I should be able to keep the hammer down and get good exit speed here, using that little bit of track out. Can he finally make this move stick on the Mini? The Mini's hanging tough.
And that was a class act by Derek Jones, giving room to Aish on the outside, not just running all the way out to track out.
So you couldn't have done that last year.
No.
The grip wouldn't have been there to make that move. So it's really changing the characteristic of this racetrack, Greg.
Almost every lap you're learning something new about where you can run, where the grip is.
It's fun. I mean, it's fun. I mean, you love this racetrack. You love the configuration. The layout, as we said, is unchanged, but you're relearning it. Some little tricks. Every lap you're going to learn more and more about how the curbing, how you can use it. Here's the change for the lead. We're looking at it coming up into turn 9. Gilsinger locks him up. I think he was kind of distracted there. He's on board with McCumbee. He's got a good run going. Gilsinger would have been looking in his rearview mirror here at the move that McCumbee's going to try and make. And look, that he just locks up the fronts, slides wide. McCumbee's through. Going for 2 in a row here at the Glen.
And the question now is how much damage, if any, did Chad do to those fronts? Because you can see he had input and locked up.
That is a big concern. The big fuel window on these ST cars, they normally go maybe an hour 20. So about another 30 minutes in, they may be able to make that first pit stop of the day and make it to the finish.
And side by side for the lead, Maxwell with Burkett.
The outside move again, he's got the grip.
Wow,
Using the rim
grip
shot, that is superb action. Great racing between the two Canadians as Halton looks on.
Well, you're right, huge grip everywhere right now. Now, you might expect to see Burkett, with the pace he was showing, ease away.
I think he'd had enough, Greg. He said,
so.
Enough of the games, I'm gonna force one on you.
Now, what can Holton do with Maxwell?
Well, I think if Maxwell starts to run normal racing lines, but if he gets defensive on Halton, it's going to be the same issue, and that may allow Burkett just to take off at the front.
So Burkett, back end steps up just a little there in turn 11, just good rotation. He feeds it throttle and starts to stretch the margin as they head down the front straight, and then that fall away down into the 90, turn 1. That time at least Maxwell on the normal line. Able to do that now with a little bit of breathing room. Great ride here at the Glen. Still early going here in the Continental Tire 150. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Watkins Glen, looking at the number 93. That's the point-leading Honda America Race Team Honda Civic in the ST category. However, when we went to break, that car was well up in the top 5, no longer. And of course, you saw that moment when the car locked up and went off. And Cal, our best speculation is they were going to come in, do a driver change, do tires, realize too late that they were in early. And listen now.
Get in! Hey, 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 hey! The battery's dead! The battery's dead! Hey! Hey! Come here! Come here! Hey! Push start me! I'll do another, I don't know if it'll start. The battery's dead! The battery's dead!
So you could hear the angst, and I think Chad recognized that they'd come in too early, Cal.
Yeah, there's a 45-minute minimum drive time rule to score points, and he was about a minute shy of that, but he's obviously having some kind of technical issue at the same time. But right now he stayed out. Justin, you're down there in pit lane. What is the team saying?
Well, when he came in and went back out, obviously the battery was the thing he was yelling most eloquently then, and they have actually brought a new battery out into pit lane. They've got Eversley Bryan to put on his helmet, so when they come in, they will be doing that driver change. Interesting to know, can they survive to the end of the race, Calvin, by bump starting the car every time they go out of pit lane? Or is it going to start having an effect, obviously, on the running of the car out on the track? So we'll have to see. The new battery is right behind the pit wall. They're going to put new tires on, driver change, and obviously fuel. I'll keep you updated.
It's really confusing, though, as to why he would have come in before the 45-minute mark, if that was a strategy there. I don't think it was. I think he caught everyone by surprise a little bit, but the fact that the car is now running doesn't make much sense either. So very confusing time here for the ST leader.
And running competitive times, and the unfortunate thing is we're hearing that when he left pit lane, he may have exceeded the speed limit, which would then mean a drive-through, and it's being discussed right now. So for the points leader, this could be going pear-shaped in a hurry. That
costs you just under 30 seconds to the rest of the field out there, staying on racetrack, coming down pit lane.
Here he's it.
This may be to serve that penalty. He'll have to wait and see if he hits his pit box or goes to the penalty box.
Those two red cones or markers right there. That indicates where the pit speed limit begins.
That's just an example. You could hear the passion in his voice, screaming at the crew, trying to make them hear with their helmets on. It's really tough. You're not doing it over the radio, and you just get all out of sync. I mean, this is such a rehearsed deal in terms of making pit stops, but when you're having a problem, you panic a little bit, you don't go through your normal routine, and this has cost him dearly.
Could that be part of the problem, Cal? A radio issue in the car? Because
I just don't understand why he would have hit pit lane. I mean, if there's a terminal issue, you got to come. But the fact that the engine was dead, they had to push start him. It's not like you shut the engine down and do a pit stop. So obviously something had killed the power on the 93 car. And he felt he needed to hit pit lane. Then they maybe said, well, you can't get out yet. And then he said, well, try and push start me. And now the car seems to be running fine. Not sure if he resets something on electronics, if there's a spare ignition box they can switch to, something like that.
But after a moment like that, then you go back out and you're running competitive laps. That just sort of doubles the frustration. The frustration felt in Grand Sport right now is felt by the rest of the field as Mr. Burkett has opened it up now to some 7 seconds, Brian.
Yeah, that's CJ Wilson, Porsche Cayman GT4 out in front. Mark Miller, you just came back from Le Mans, and what a team to come back to, what a racetrack to come back to. This car running really well today. How special, I'm not going to hand it to you yet, but to bring CJ Wilson the first Grand Sport win, how important would that be for you guys?
I mean, these guys, the first ST win at COTA years ago was monumental, but you know, when we change directions and look towards GS and alignment with Porsche, you know, we've been really close already, and it's, as a driver myself and one of the longest running drivers for CJ, I want to come back to the winner's circle here more than anyone here, guaranteed. And it's too early to talk about it now. I haven't even been in the car yet, but it's on our mindset to do everything perfect today and bring that car back home first.
How tough is it going to be?
What was that?
How tough is it going to be with the driver lineup you're going to be facing?
No, I mean, it looks good for Danny now, but I mean, my teammate, you've got Billy Johnson, you've got Trent Hinman, you've got guys that are just awesome, and it's going to be a tough battle no matter what. We just hope we can pull it together.
You're looking for that first GS win for CJ Wilson, Justin.
You know, you're talking about drivers that have experience and speed and can bring their A game to the track. Sometimes you don't get the chance to get many time behind the wheel, and Paul Holton is that guy this weekend. I caught him, as did Brian, as he was heading into the paddock just before the race, and his father actually got sick, and he decided to spend an extra day with his dad instead of coming to practice. The first time he got in the car is what you're seeing now. So just shows the level of talent, doesn't it, Cal? These guys know this track, but of course, getting to the nuances of the new surface, well, I guess he's got his head around that pretty quick.
Yeah, it's a brilliant performance to put all of the personal things that are going on to one side as well, but there's nothing like getting into the isolation of a cockpit of a race car to put that straight, and he's done a great job here in this opening hour.
And you heard Mark Miller. He's got success here. A win in 2013 in ST with CJ Wilson, and in 2014 a pole. Pretty impressive stuff for Mr. Miller. The number 33 CJ Wilson Racing Porsche Cayman GT4 not only continues to lead here at the Continental Tire 150 at the Glen, but by a bunch. Mr. Burkett has stretched that margin up to over 10 seconds right now as they are having a great race. The stories, though, have been really unfolding in the ST category, and Justin Bell, the biggest one, involves our point leaders.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with Chad Gilsing. He just got out of the car. Chad, I mean, 0 to 0 in like 3 laps, right? I mean, it was a catalog of disaster. Why did you come in, though? We've been speculating.
Well, I lost radio communication. So I could hear them, but we had battery issues, and there wasn't enough voltage for me to transmit to them. So I could hear them, they couldn't hear me. I knew that was going to be the case. I knew we probably didn't have a battery or an alternator here at pit lane. So my thinking was, if I could come in, tell them what's going wrong, get out before, stay on the lead lap, then maybe in the end we wouldn't be too bad. But everybody just kept talking to me on the radio. Nobody would come talk to me, so it didn't work. But anyway, the car's back in pit lane now. Hopefully we get it fixed, and we'll just have to get as many points as we can this weekend.
Yeah, well, just tell us, though, what is the track like out there? Because we're, again, Calvin and I, we're not out there, but we're talking about the grip. Looks like you can go anywhere to overtake.
Well, the grip is amazing, and at first I thought, it's not uncommon for the electronic power steering systems to be overcome because the car's not tuned to have this much grip going through the gearbox. And so I thought at first it was just a little bit of, just having a little bit too much grip on race tires, no big deal. But then it got to the point to where it was literally jerking the wheel the other direction, and it was really difficult to drive, so I just let people by and tried doing the best I could. The ABS was also intermittent because when the voltage gets low, you lose ABS intermittently, and it was difficult, but the car's still in one piece. Hopefully we can get some points and move on to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park.
Yeah, that's a veteran there, and points are what they need right now. The car's about to pull out again, Calvin.
Yeah, it's all about damage control now for the rest of the race, just trying to secure as many points as you can. And you know Ryan Eversley will give it 1,000,000% as he always does, even though he's hoping for a lot more here today. Both these guys haven't won here at the Glen in ST competition. So just a domino effect. Everything was shutting down on the car. He didn't have full power steering assist. He didn't have the ABS working. It's just like, and he didn't have the crew realizing what was going on.
And now they're struggling big time, and it looked like they spent some time and replaced the battery, but still having to, for some reason, try and bump start it. So now they got to push the car all the way back up to their pit stall. Oh boy, this has just turned into, and clearly, as you said, Cal, we had seen it. I mean, that explains why he couldn't make that corner up into turn 9. The car had become rather unwieldy, apparently.
Yeah, and the problem is, if you have a problem in this ST class, the field is so deep that your finishing position just kills you at the end of the day. So this is going to be a big one for the Hart team.
Yeah, this is going to be a long-ish stop at this stage as you take a look. And as they run, there are the points and how this could affect it from 1st to 5th.
Yeah, salt in the wound is the fact that the guys who are closer to them in the championship are leading right now, so it'll be a huge delta. See the alternator there at the ready.
Oh, and our overall race leader in. Burkett brings it in. He'll be turning over to Mark Miller.
63, 64 minutes on the board. These cars normally go about 55 minutes, so we got a little bit of a fuel save running under caution for so long. Brian.
That's a routine stop for Continental Tires and Fuel, and Mark Miller, I should say, is taking over for Daniel Burkett. Burkett, a young driver really from open wheel ranks, is doing a spectacular job in this Grand Sport Cayman, and now Mark Miller will go out, and you heard him say, I'm going to battle with some of the best out on the racetrack when we head back out there. Fuel going in. It's going to take a while because the hood has to be open in order to get it in. No junction through the hood like you'd see in a GT car, and Miller underway.
And a big problem for our ST leader on top of it. Chad McCumbee has had an incident. I'm not sure in that corner, Cal. Was it heading down into the boot?
Yeah, it was. I think it was the laces of the boot there. Wow, it is action stations around this racetrack right now affecting championship hopefuls.
He has continued, and he had worked himself to a 10-plus second lead over the 84 of Cook.
I wonder if there was traffic involved. Let's take another look at it. Coming down the chute after the inner loop, you run downhill, massive grip. There's a lot of entry speed as you get down to the corner where we saw McCumbee have his issue.
Here we go.
This is him getting damage up, but coming back to the pit lane.
It's
That's
wrinkled.
turn 9.
Here it is.
No one else involved. Wow, that's strange. That is really strange to go off at that angle. Well, this will tell the story. On board with him. Wow, just turned on him real quick. Don't know if sure if he mistimed the downshift, but just at that critical moment, he just done a shift there, and the tail end went out on him. Lost the rear end. Not sure if something broke on the rear corner. We'll see if they just changed tires or any suspension damage, but maybe just got caught out there late in the run.
That promotes Cook, then Rabe. What a drive by the number 31. Ike Galente and Sarah Cattaneo up into 5th.
A lot of the ducting is loose there as well. That could be an issue. Long way to go in this race yet as you look at the clock. JB, what are you seeing, mate?
Well, let's just say it's a little bit more of a wheel arch curvature around that front right. Amazingly enough, the wheel came off very easy on this right-hand front side, yet where the number is, it's absolutely dented in. As you just point out, you can see the intake there on the front is popped out, and you can see the mechanic pulling it out. I actually don't know if he's got much rub there. Hopefully he won't lose too much time, but they're using that time-honored tradition of a heavy stick, and they just dropped the car on the pole he's using to leverage it out. He's giving himself a little bit more space there. What a pity this car was running so well. Obviously, a self-force inflicted error by the looks of it, according to you guys, but the car is now clear. He'll be running out. He's trying to start it. Yeah, it's like one side looks perfect, the other doesn't, Calvin. It's photographic on one side. It's rather like you and Greg. One side looks beautiful and the other doesn't.
Yeah, which way, which?
Wow. We'll talk later. But he's back out. And there is your new leader, the 84 of Tyler Cook. Again, that car sat on pole at round 3 a couple of months ago. And here comes your overall race leader, Scott Maxwell, coming in.
Big stretch on the fuel.
Yeah,
Tell you what,
really
those Aston Martins could be in great shape. Remember, they stopped after about 20 minutes and filled up. They may be able to do it in just one stop here today. They've got good track position, running second and third. Brian?
Yeah, running up pit road here, and it's a long way uphill for an old guy like me, but Billy Johnson, the young guy, taking over for Scott Maxwell in the 15. And this is something that they're going to have to go out and do battle with those Porsche Caymans. And even though the Caymans got 50 pounds added to them, a lot of them were a little overweight already, so they didn't have to add the whole 50 pounds. This Mustang, very quick here, but taking a little long on the right rear. Fuel is in, car is down, and now Billy Johnson is going to use that speed that he had at Le Mans and see if he can get around this Watkins Glen circuit. Take a checker flag from Multimatic.
Yeah, and I think with that refueling and the rear tire bobble, they were kind of timed together, so I don't think they really lost anything, Greg.
Yeah, it looked like they got it on right as the car dropped with the fuel done. So, Billy Johnson back in the wars. And believe me, this is going to be fierce. Another look at what happened to Chad McCumbee. It just seems to have got away from him. Welcome back, everybody. If you're just joining us, we're going to bring you up to speed at the start of this Continental Tire 150. A big moment in the ST category, Cal.
It was 3 wide there through turn 2. It didn't work. Jeff Mills in goes for a ride and takes a lot of cars with him.
Big damage to his car a little bit later on. The number 22 of Chris Wright got somewhat ushered off the track. And then this big moment here, the pass for the overall lead. Pole sitter Maxwell to the inside. And that number 33 in the hands of Burkett just swept the outside and had huge problems with that class leading and points leading 93.
Well, it seems like you didn't want to be leading in ST today because our leader, McCumbee, gets it wrong there, down into the laces of the boot. Big damage to the right-hand side.
It looked like something wrong in the downshift. And now that all of this action has promoted the number 09 and the 99, the two invisible glass Aston Martins, to the lead. Now they are two of the very few GS cars that ducked in under an early caution, so they're on a different pit sequence, but it's worked so far. A similar story unfolding in ST. This is the number 44, and that is the CRG I Do Borrow Nissan. And Justin, what's going on in the stop?
Well, everyone was obviously anxiously waiting this car in. They made their way from the back of the grid. We said they would in this new Nissan Altima. The team, of course, vastly experienced, but getting to grips with this car. And Sarah got out. What a drive from her, Calvin. That was a beautiful, very well thought out, very aggressive but calmly executed ride as Owen drives out of the pit lane. Of course, we've seen a lot of pit lane speed violations. It goes downhill towards the end of pit lane, so you have to be manually manage it all the way out. But that was a great stop.
Yeah, it was a mega stint there. And
actually, yeah, I could just grab her here. Actually, Sarah, I'm going to grab you while you've got your helmet on. That was a beautiful drive.
Thank you.
And obviously out there, coming from the back, the first few cars are pretty easy, aren't they? And then it gets a bit harder.
It does. It gets a lot harder, definitely, when you get into the mid-pack. I was trying to change my driving style a little bit, see where I could pass them, where I could stay ahead of them. So it was good though.
Well, a beautiful drive. Take your helmet off, and it's very disconcerting. Not many drivers wear eyeliner in this pit lane, or maybe they do.
Well, the 09 from the lead is crawling down pit lane. They stretched it a bit much, maybe on the fuel, Cal.
Well, they took that pit stop under caution to top him up, and I thought he should have been good for another 5 minutes or so. So obviously the Aston Martin's a little bit thirsty, shy of his pit stall, and this is going to cost them big time. So I thought they'd roll the perfect strategy. It's going to be tight to do it on one more stop. As you can see, they're well shy of that. 57 minutes still on the board.
Charles Espenlaub coming.
Wow.
And I wondered, were they splitting strategy? I mean, they both came in and did the stop, but did they send this car to just build a, because he'd opened up almost 10 seconds over the team car.
Yeah, he's been running really impressive pace. That's Charlie Putman now getting out. What a job he's done. And Automatic pulled a great strategy call there and topping those guys up with fuel, really not losing much track position with the wave round that you get under our full course caution procedure. So we've got the other car out there right now, Eklund, having another strong run as well on a similar strategy. I'd imagine he's going to be in pit lane shortly.
Boy, and if this plays out, that 09 is going to have to really conserve fuel if they want to try and make it to the end. We still have over an hour left. And by the way, that early stop, I was just getting to that with the number 44. They too were, by my count, were the only ST car that had ducked in early. They're playing that same card.
Same way. I mean, not such a big call with them because most of the ST cars can do it on one stop versus two for GS. But again, great strategy by those guys. Working with that new Nissan Altima. They got 6 days of testing in with it, 2 at Sebring, 4 at VIR. And Owen Trinkler said, give a shout out to my wife. It's her birthday. They're with us this weekend with the boys, Jennifer. So happy birthday. Hopefully they can have a nice solid run and maybe grab a podium position.
Now, here's the story. Eklund on the right of your screen. Does he make the move into pit lane?
Both pitted on the same lap under that caution, so you'd think they'd be on the same.
No.
He's stretching it, so again, if they can get to about 60 minutes to go, maybe he can do it on just that one stop to get to the checkered flag.
But there is your overall leader in the One Capital Management, CJ Wilson Racing, Porsche Cayman Club Sport. Mark Miller now behind the wheel. The margin 3.5 seconds over Eklund. Johnson sits third in the Mustang. The battle for the ST lead is on here in the Continental Tire 150 at the Glen. Looking to the inside, down into one, Spencer Pumpelly, who has just been rifling his way up through this field, gets around Devin Jones in the number 31 Cayman, and we have a new leader. That easy, Cal.
Well, he has just been flying, setting fastest lap after fastest lap, and Spencer Pumpelly goes to the lead. He's had a couple of 6 hours of the Glen wins, had so much success here, and the car is absolutely on fire right now.
We have seen this MO from this guy and this team. Saw it last year. This is the Logistics RS1 machine, and Nick Gallant doing a great opening stint. When he turned it over to Spencer ever quick, and Devin Jones taking over for Jason Rabe, who'd worked his way from 17th up into the lead in the body motion. Delaware Investments came in. A great drive for him as well. But right now, Pumpelly has the pace on his charge, Cal. He just set the fastest race lap in ST.
Let's see if he can hold on to it. It hasn't been a great day for the ST leaders. Seen numerous times the leaders get into trouble, but let's not forget, Spencer Pumpelly came into this round of the championship tied for second with his teammate in the points. So with the leaders having problems, Chad Gilsinger that is, and McAleer McCumbee having the hit, this could be a huge swing in the points for Spencer Pumpelly and Nick Gallant.
Just massive. Pumpelly, Devin Jones in the 31, 84. James Clay now. It's taken over for Tyler Cook. He sits third. The number 92 entry is in fourth. That is one of the Hart cars, and the 44 of now Owen Trinkler from dead last up into fifth. But let's get down to Brian Till. He's got to have a pretty amped guy down there.
Tyler Cook climbed out of that BMW in the lead, and Tyler, you hand over to James Clay, the team principal. That F30 328, you guys have been working on it a lot, but what do you need to do? What does James need to do to take the battle to those Porsches out in front?
It's just all about maintaining the car, not using too much of it too fast. What can happen is, because we have a really small tire where the Porsche has a bigger rear tire, so we can burn the rear off really fast. We're a heavier car than the Porsche, so overall, we're fighting our tires, we're fighting a big fuel load, so it's just nice, consistent pace, nice, steady pace that James can do. James has all the experience in the world, and no way I'd rather be in a race car than James.
You know, you talk about fighting. You had to fight when you were out there. I saw you get out of the car, big bandage on your right hand. What did you do to your right wrist?
Yeah, I broke my wrist about 4 weeks ago. Doctor told me 4 months so I could drive, and I didn't really like that answer. So I wanted to prove him wrong, did a lot of things in the 4 weeks to get my wrist back. My girlfriend constantly hammered me to be like, hey, you know what, we need to get this wrist good, you need a race. So got it okay, got a nice little cut there. All I can say is don't sit on a hill on a moped because you never know what can happen.
There you go, fighting through the injury, and he came in the lead, Justin.
Well, a man that was in the lead, and you can defend yourself because from the in-car, we didn't know if you had a miss-shift on the downshift or something, but the car was going so strong. What happened, Chad?
We just had IBS failure. Steven right now. I don't think the alignment's really knocked out that bad or anything. It was a glancing blow, but we had a little bit of that issue in practice, and we thought we got it fixed. But you know, the Freedom guys have done an awesome job. We got a really fast mod space milestone. I hate that may have cost us a win. We'll see, but just do the best we can.
And of course, the track is putting a lot more demands on ABS systems, on steering racks, power steering. Do you think that's a factor here, recalibration, or is it just your system?
No, I think it just may be a fluke thing. You know, sometimes you have good luck and sometimes you have bad luck. Unfortunately, I think we just had a little rough luck on our side, but we shouldn't say that. You know, we're still out there running right now. Could have been a lot worse. So thank the good Lord above for that, and see if we can't finish this thing out and not lose too many points.
All right, man, cool. Calvin, do you think him and I come from the same town? We sound pretty similar, right?
Yeah. Opposing dialects there. Interesting comment there, because that corner is not really one where you're doing threshold braking. You're just slowing it. You're not like stopping the car. So obviously some of them was a miss with the brake bias, maybe with the ABS issue that Chad was having. But either way, as he said, glancing blow cost them a lot, but they're fighting hard right now. McAleer back up to the 6th position in class and looking for more.
And here you have a look. That is Billy Johnson sitting in 2nd, 11 seconds back of leader Mark Miller. And there is the pink number 44 of Owen Trinkler sitting in 5th at this stage. And there is the number 25 next in the queue, McAleer, hanging on in the 6th spot, chasing Trinkler, and in front of the 73 right now of Matt Pombo as they work their way through the S's and come up the hill. Right in front of him is a team car, the number 26. Boy, the Freedom cars now all showing some battle damage.
They are. They've been in the wars literally today. But for Trinkler, he's run some really quick lap times since he jumped in the car. Just ran a 2:06.8, which is only half a second off of Pompelli. And there's only 3 or 4 cars in that 2:06 bracket. So he's got the pace maybe to hold off McAleer. I don't think McAleer's just going to run him down easily, but he's going to dig deep, see what they can salvage here on the day.
See that car right at the bottom of the screen there as the number 46 of David Murray. And not too long ago, he was all over the back of Mark Miller in the overall lead 33 CJ Wilson car. There he is. And what he was trying to do was get his lap back and then hope for a caution, because then with the cycle around, he may have been in a position to do something with it. But Miller, I think, recognized it and knows the threat that David Murray would be, and it was able to gap him a little bit.
I think what these cars have got to be really careful of is if they believe they need help on fuel to get to the finish, which certainly the leaders should if we stay green. But the problem is if you wait and you get a caution, if that does not then get you into your fuel window to get to the finish, you still got to make a stop. The team that's really going to take advantage of that is that 99 car.
Yep.
Carter stopped so late, and here we see it. I think you got that domino effect. You've got to come in and cover that eventuality, because if there was a yellow, the 99 car of Al Carter would be in great shape, because with a little bit of help, they'll be able to get to the finish without the need of a splash.
So the strategy call from the CJ Wilson pit. Johnson will assume the lead, and we'll see whether or not they react next time by. But Mark Miller is in.
And he's taking tires as well. See if they're just doing fronts or going for all 4. It's not out of fuel, so it shouldn't be the normal amount of time to get the fuel in the car.
They're doing 4.
They are doing 4. Oop. Weird orchestration there, the way the team did that. Didn't see any tires out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is costing them dearly, taking this tire change. That is, I mean, we have to see what the 15 car does. What are you seeing down there, Brian?
I don't know, Calvin, it was almost like there was a little indecision. Oh, and almost got together with the 12 on the way out. Almost a little indecision. You called it. The fuel was done. They were ready to drop the car, and the left rear was still going on. It's going to cost them time on the racetrack.
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of miscommunication there on exactly what they were going to do, and that could cost them dearly as they're looking for their first GS win. They don't come easy, Greg.
Watching Miller regain the track, and you mentioned the 12 they almost got into it with. Cameron Castle's had a spin, and it's put Hinman back a bit. He's been awfully fast. Here's what happened. There's that left rear.
Take a look here. See if they drop the car.
It just took them a while to get the tire to fit.
Inman's in, look like they're doing tires as well. You'd have to think that the 15 of Billy Johnson, Multimatic Group, would need to respond.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, if there's a caution, pit lane would be closed.
All right, we're going to step away for just a moment. We'll come back and find out exactly what the response was from the Ford camp here at Watkins Glen. Welcome back to the Glen as our overall race leader, Billy Johnson, brings the number 15 Multimatic Ford Shelby 350 RC into the pits and right to Brian Till.
Billy Johnson trying to get this Mustang back in victory lane. It's been since Daytona, the first race of the year. It's been the Porsche Cayman GT4 that has been dominant. Now problems with the left front. All the wheel nuts are off, but this wheel is stuck on the hub. Crew member beating on it, trying to loosen it up, but it is wedged on there. Perhaps the heat has expanded the metal and it is difficult, and this is going to take precious time. And you're going to want to get this wheel off because that left front takes an absolute punishment around this racetrack with the high-speed corners that it has. They're just going to tighten it back up. That's what they're going to have to do. And then they'll try to come up with a fix for it, perhaps, or Billy Johnson is just going to have to endure.
Anything they can do to stay on the lead
now
lap.
Finally released. That was a long and painful stop for Multimatic.
That cost them precious seconds, but the biggest problem is going to be the imbalance in the car. Not only do you have a left front that doesn't have a lot of rubber left on it, but it's going to be pushed by that new, fresh left rear, which will induce even more understeer into the car. As we now see the 76 car coming in. Pierre Klein-Ubing was about 28 seconds behind Billy Johnson on the last lap. So there you can see he's not 28 seconds behind any further, any longer. So that really tightened up that battle.
There's Mark Miller, who should, at this stage.
It's going to be tight.
Yeah.
But I think with the problems for Billy Johnson, remember these guys didn't have a smooth pit stop either.
No, it's been kind of brutal up front here in terms of stops. In the Grand Sport category, it's been stops. In the ST category, it's been on the racetrack where leaders have struggled. And they just had, I mean, the only option they had was to put those lug nuts back on and get back out to not go down a lap.
Yeah, you obviously feel when you're in that moment, I must be able to dislodge this wheel and get it off. But as the time was running, you then have to make the audible. Let's tighten up and send him and make the driver work hard and try and deal with it. There's obviously the safety concern with a tire that's got a lot of laps on it, getting to the checkered flag without some kind of issue.
As Miller works through turn 11, last turn onto the front straight, exit right up to that safer barrier. And by he goes, and now officially picks up the lead by a fair amount at this stage. In ST, it's still the 17 Porsche Cayman from RS1 of Spencer Pumpelly leading in that category. Welcome back to the Continental Tire 150 at the Glen. Fourth round of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge, still under our third full course caution. And as we went to break, I was talking about, I thought that the number 15 went into the pits. And then as we were in break, I was reminded, no, pits were closed. But they came in, and Cal, it was a frustrating stop.
It really was. Remember, they couldn't get this left front wheel off on the previous stop, so they tightened it back up, sent him out. Obviously realizing that that was going to be a major safety concern to put that many miles on that tire. So then they're just trying to come up with a method to get this left front loose. They eventually get into where they're rotating the wheel and just tapping on it. And eventually it comes off, but lost a lot of ground. We're hearing there may not be a wave by before we go back to green. So this will really hurt. What are you hearing, Brian?
Down here with Multimatic and Larry Holt on the radio right now. We were going to talk to him real quickly, but he's trying to figure out the strategy if there's going to be a wave by or not. So, hey, Larry, have you ever seen anything like that before? A wheel stuck on like that?
Only on my Massey Ferguson on the farm a few times. I've had to use big sledgehammers for that, but not for one of Not for one of my race cars, no.
I mean, I don't know if it's heat or whatever, but is there going to be a way-by? Have you heard? We heard there might not be a way-by.
They're way... Yeah, they're doing a class split right now, and they're going green right now, so he's got to get past all those ST cars into the front. He'll be in 6th place when he gets it, and he'll have fresh tires on, and it's up to him.
Here we go, guys. Going back to green, and like you heard Larry say, he's got some fresh tires, finally.
The question is, how far can he get before they get to green? And by the way, we've dropped a huge budget on statisticians for this event. 1:20 before the wheel popped off on that last stop, and unofficially 23 whacks of the wooden board on that. So
this is going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, it is. And now his tires are nice and warm.
And they're fresh.
And they're fresh.
They're fresh. I think
That's
they did all
key.
4. They did the right side. I think the original intention was just to do left side to save a bit of time on pit lane. But when you're under caution like that, it's really a freebie. And he's now stacked up at the back of the GS field with a lot healthier Continental tires than the rest of the field. This will be fun.
Well, they had plenty of time to get those other 3 on, no question. So now, Mark Miller, you've got, it is Porsche. The 4th car in the queue is Dave Murray down a lap. If he'd been able to get around, could have been an easy story. So actually, the 4th place car is Kleinubing in the multicolored Compass 360 car. And then Carter is 5th, and we're green. And watch for what happens at the back with Billy Johnson with those tires. Here we go.
Well, he's just got to be patient. He's just got to be patient. Don't do anything too rash. He's going to have a lot faster car than the rest of them in front of him. So just do the smart things. Billy Johnson typically does that. Great restart for our leader, Mark Miller. Johnson tries to go side by side through 2.
That's with Carter, and he's through. He got that done. And Holton quickly was able to get around Murray. I think Murray doing a nice job and just letting him through.
Saw a little bit of smoke from the back of Paul Holton's car. Kleinubing, excuse me.
That's on me.
On that restart, when they came through the final corner and went back to green, there was a little puff of smoke from the very tail end of the 76 machine that sits in that 4th position right now. So Hinman there. He's got a refresh here, sitting in the 3rd spot. They lost a lot of ground early in the run. Here comes Billy Johnson making another move.
He got trapped behind Murray through the inner loop, though, Cal. It cost him some track distance.
It does, but he's got a lot of time on the clock. 21 minutes. So we now see Macquarie start to put the pressure on Miller. Hinman there in the wings, looking for 3 in a row.
That's a C.J. Wilson 1-2 right now. And then Hinman in the body motion Porsche. In a position after what we saw earlier with the spin by his teammate Cameron Castles. They were quite a ways back, but this caution, a complete reset. And Hinman now an opportunity right there in that number 12, sitting in 3rd, to go for the 3rd straight for the team. But he's got to get by a couple of very fast guys, and he's got some fast guys behind him.
Finished 2nd here a couple of years ago, Trent Hinman. One of the best young prospects on the U.S. racing scene right now. Had that BMW contract, and they let him go, which I think was a huge mistake at the end of last year. And he's out to prove a point this year, digging deep for rides and making it happen every time he's behind the wheel. Here he goes. He looks to the inside, not quite close enough.
Oh, looks like Macquarie may have gone a little wide. He did. Was that a little touched?
That was really tight. I think Macquarie's going to hang on to it. Yeah, Macquarie got in there really deep. Hinman's coming back at him. If he can time this without getting out of the throttle, he should get a really good draft here. Oh, no, he didn't. He was just a bit too close. He needed to back off a little bit sooner and get the run through the S's.
Oh, Macquarie going full defensive to the inside. Now Hinman's going to make sure he stays there, shallow up that entry. Macquarie covered that nicely, Cal.
Look at Kleinubing right behind them there in the 4th position. The Compass 360 Mustang having a great run. And Billy Johnson is coming after these guys.
Problem is this little bit of dicing here. Now Hinman looks to the inside, heading down into the boot. And he got Macquarie in deep, Cal.
He did. There's grip there to the outside. Typically, it's a risky move, particularly for the guy who's stranded on the outside of that corner. But there's more grip there this year. So Hinman on the move.
Well, Hinman knew there was going to be a counter move by Macquarie, stayed far right, made sure it didn't happen, and was still able to carry some decent speed in. But now, on that uphill right-hander at the toe, Macquarie getting a nice run.
Hinman's got to be careful here. He chose the inside line. You can't come back across and take a second bite at the cherry. McQuarrie's got to run. Track limits close there. He's got to the inside. This is great news for Miller up front. He's stretching that lead, but it's going to allow those two Mustangs a lot closer.
There's that puff of smoke again, Cal. You're absolutely right.
The tail end of that 76 is right from the middle of the rear under tray, it looks like.
Down through 11. Billy right on the back of Kleinubing, the two Mustang Shelbys here.
He's got the right spacing here. If he can time his run through turn one, he's going to pick up a huge draft up through the S's by these three cars, punching a big hole in the air. Track limits, you got to keep at least 2 tires on the line of the racetrack.
Not a totally unreasonable request. Boy, Hinman now gets a good run once again, and let's see what Billy does behind Kleinubing. Here we go, and again, Hinman outside. McQuarrie has enough.
Miller is the benefactor to this, our leader right now, because these guys are really slowing each other down. You got the two Canadian Mustang teams, Multimatic and Compass 360, just across the city in Toronto, battling out right now for the 4th position. Billy Johnson's tires, as we said, a lot fresher.
Again, Hinman looks to the inside, has to dip the brake. And speaking of brakes, we're going to have to take a quick one ourselves, but we will be right back. So stay with us as we're into the final few moments of round 4. On America's Independence Day weekend, a great battle between the Canadian teams for that 4th spot continues. Pierre Kleinubing hanging on over Billy Johnson. The problem for them is it's for 4th. Miller, McQuarrie, and Hinman, 3 Porsche Caymans, run 1, 2, 3 in Grand Sport.
And I think if Billy Johnson's going to have a chance of victory here today, he's got to clear Pierre Kleinubing here in the next lap or two. Otherwise, those leaders are going to be tough to chase down. But again, they should come to him a little bit. He's on much fresher Continental rubber. And they may start to fade a little bit in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, now that McQuarrie and Hinman have quit fighting a little bit, they have closed back in on Miller. Have taken a chunk of time back. It's down now to under a second once again. And Billy trying everything he can, Cal.
Yeah, but he's got a tough competitor right in front of him. Pierre Kleinubing's won so many sports car championships over the years. He's not going to give it up easy.
And for Billy, I mean, he needs to find a way by, but he can't hurt his tires doing it.
He's got to run. Pierre's getting real defensive here. And at some point, you got to wonder if Larry Holt just goes down to Carl Thompson and say, come on, guys, let's let one of the Fords go after those Caymans up front.
Ooh, there's that legendary Kleinubing car control. But that moment was enough.
He normally does it with front-wheel drive cars.
True.
He's got a rear-wheel drive Mustang here today, but just the same, he keeps it all together. Billy should be able to ease away a little bit. He just had to wait. He couldn't force the issue. There's that smoke again on the overrun.
That's heavier than we've seen it, too. So Johnson now 4th. Last time by, he was about a second and a half behind Hinman, and I think that exchange has cost him dearly. That's looking at it once again, and you talked about it right here, Cal. You knew he had the run.
He did. He had the run. Pierre goes defensive on him down to the inside. Billy tries to force the issue into the inner loop, tries to go side by side here. Pierre hangs tough. Billy has a little moment there, loses a bit of speed, then over the curbs there. Pierre lucky not to get into Billy Johnson and turn them both around, but nice car control there, but Billy Johnson is through. Now he's got a lot of work to do to try and chase down the Caymans.
Yeah, we're going to find out right now how much he has, because as I said, he was about a second and a half off of Hinman last time by. And this time, yeah, that cost him at least a second, if not more, as he is now 4.7 behind the leader, and that's about 3.5 off of Hinman in 3rd.
What a day this potentially could be for CJ Wilson, running 1-2. Made the move from the ST class up to GS this year. Got a great platform there with Porsche, great partnership. Yeah, they've got a hungry young man right behind them, Trent Hinman, who wants to have a bit more to say in this battle this afternoon.
This is an immense battle unfolding for second in ST. Spencer Pumpelly has gone away, but Devin Jones in the 31, the 19 RS1 of Connor Bloom, and the 84 of James Clay for Bimmerworld, right in front of Stephen McClear. That is one wrinkled car on one side, but it certainly has pace, Cal.
Yeah, look at that. This battle is not going away. This is awesome stuff.
That's Corey Lewis right in front of him. That is the number 36 Strategic Wealth Designs Gold Crest Porsche.
McAleer's got someone right on his tail as well. He's giving the thumbs up too. Work together here. God, this racing is so much fun. The racetrack looks superb with the repave.
Look at the run he gets, but can't do anything with it.
Driving the wheels off these ST cars here this afternoon. Feathering the throttle there, he's got a better run. McAleer has pace. And that's a damaged race car. Remember, his teammate got into the fence right in this corner as McAleer has a little wobble there. Same kind of scenario. It's right on the downshift. Nearly lost the rear end of the car.
And Chad said McAleer was having to manage it.
Don't understand what the ABS. You wouldn't want to be activating the ABS down into that corner. You're kind of probably 70% brake pressures are easing off.
Well, is that the failure? When he just goes to the brake, the ABS is locking it up, maybe.
Possibly. And so it's giving him a few not raising moments there.
Big run here.
Look at the grip that this track is offering, though.
Anywhere
more
you
side-by-side action today than I can remember.
Oh, Clay floats wide, and it's the number 26. Now that car of Andrew Carbonell, we know how fast it is, but that car is way down the order after spending a long time getting rebuilt, but he can sure play wingman right now for McClear.
He could do a little bump drafting as well. That straightaway.
You're not going to hurt the cars a lot more.
They've all got a few battle scars here today. Sensational stuff.
So that's 36 Lewis, the first of the cars in that queue, in fourth. Ooh, McClear locks up big time. You can see that issue.
Yeah, he's got brake issues he's dealing with. So to be this far in the hunt,
that's pretty impressive.
It's really impressive.
Well, you can see why Aurora Strauss is impressed with Stephen McClear. He's able to manage this. Sitting in fifth, Lewis in front of him. Pumpelly in the 17 RS1 Cayman leads it over the similar 31 Cayman from a different team. There it is. And Connor Blum sits in another RS1 entry in third in ST. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Watkins Glen International as we are in the closing stages of the Continental Tire 150 at the Glen on this freshly repaved track that is producing some immense options, really, for lack of a better term, Cal, for people to go race up front and overall in Grand Sport. Mark Miller for CJ Wilson leads in the Capital One management car. Tyler McQuarrie, a great run in second right now in the Safecraft New Balance machine. But Hinman has slotted through, found a way past, and is now in second.
McQuarrie there a little bit sideways down into turn one, but these three Caymans have left the Mustangs in their dust. Looks like a battle between the three Caymans for the podium spots here this afternoon. Again, Trent Hinman and Castle's gone for 3 straight victories, having missed the opening round at Daytona. That really dragged them right into the championship fight. And right now, Hinman looks like his car's working really well.
Boy,
he's able to tighten up the exit there of the inner loop. And suddenly, Mark Miller does no longer have a wingman.
And these are Cayman Club Sport GT4s that run in GS. If you're just joining us in ST, it's just the normal Porsche Cayman, but Hinman is closing. Right now, we have body motion Porsche Caymans in second in each of the classes.
He's going to look at Mark Miller here and see where does he have a weak spot. This is the closest he's really been here on a consistent basis to really eyeball where that car in front of him has some strengths.
Interesting what we're seeing here in terms of speed, Cal. We've been talking about this track, in theory, should just keep getting quicker and quicker. Well, the top 3 cars have all run speeds faster than the existing track record qualifying or race on that last lap alone. All into the 59s.
Yeah, really.
Oh, man.
testimony to the track surface, and also those Continental tires have been given that sort of lap time late in the going. Tell you what, Mark Miller's not going to go away easy. He's stretched the lead a little bit, it looks like, over the last half a lap.
It was 7/10 last time by. Hinman had closed up a chunk of that to 6/10, but it was late on that lap. Oh, and now the problems for Kleinubing. We're seeing a constant stream of smoke almost now, Cal.
Yeah, really been seeing it right since that last restart. Hopefully they can get that car to the finish. It's been a great run, and they've got some good points underneath them for the championship year.
Yeah,
remember, it's early in the go. We're only at round 4 of a 10-race championship. A long way to go.
And they come in, and they are well placed in that championship, sitting in third, only 1 point out of second.
This is going to be a real tight championship race. Hinman now is suddenly closer to Mark Miller. He seems really strong on this first half of the lap, and Miller has an advantage in the second half of the lap. Look at that. Looking for a way by. He looks to the outside on the laces. Can he get alongside the flank? No, he can't. I think he realizes he's got to try and make it happen in this first half of the lap. Time is winding down, 7.5 minutes left. Hinman still pushing for that third victory in a row.
That may be the upside of running behind the leading group for a little while, as he has seen where other cars have been able to go, seen where they are finding grip.
And the problem is, you're learning the track in terms of where you can make passes, but for when you're defending, you're trying to learn where you need to defend. What lane is it okay to leave open, or is it suddenly the boy is there and you didn't know he was coming?
And we've seen it. You defend to the inside, and somebody just sweeps the outside and sticks.
Miller really hitting his marks nicely there. You can see the late turn in, maximizing that radius through that really high speed turn 10.
Yeah, he's not running up and using as much curb as some of these other guys, is he?
He's done a great job. And I think that helps because of the grip level. There's really not a lot of slowing down through those final couple of corners. Always a little bobble there. Definitely turned in a little bit late, lost the rear end momentarily. Can Hinman get the draft here up through the S's? Right through this section is where you want to time it. Not quite close enough.
He got a run, as you said.
How aggressive will he be? Suddenly, Miller's having to protect a little bit. This is letting McQuarrie get back into the the battle for the lead as well. Traffic up ahead.
Just let you know, Pompelli still leads by 3 seconds over Devin Jones. And Conor Blum another couple of seconds back.
Hinman's really good through this section.
Boy, isn't he? And he's bringing, as you said, McQuarrie with him here.
Touch to the inside. Miller does not quite leave the door open. Good racecraft there by Miller. Opened up the radius a little bit, but not enough for Hinman to take advantage. Here comes McQuarrie, he's got to run. Now Hinman's having to defend from McQuarrie. He looks to the inside.
Boy, Miller looking in his mirrors and grinning.
Yeah, he needs that.
A little respite here. And for Trent Hinman, who you've talked about, is really trying to make his mark with Porsche, he's going to be aggressive, but he's not going to take out a leading Porsche. That's not how you impress a manufacturer. So Hinman driving very smart right now.
Well, he won this championship a couple of years ago, teamed with John Edwards for BMW, and did it by really smart decision making, and he's doing the same thing here today. But Miller's got a fast car. He's taken off a little bit.
And McQuarrie, boy, is he in position now, and you can see huge defense by Hinman down into one. Now McQuarrie pops to the outside.
Needs to time the run. What you need is good acceleration off one, and just enough so you're just inching up on that car in front of you up through the S's. So as you get to the top of the S's, you can just maintain the throttle position, but he's lost a little bit of ground there. Traffic up ahead.
Oh, Miller's really parked Miller.
Miller really lost a ton of momentum, and Hinman is through for the lead.
Miller drops to third. Now McQuarrie outside into the inner loop. Can't get it done. Tucks back in.
Wow, we didn't quite see it. Miller must have got completely balked there and completely out of the gas to have that sort of speed differential down the straightaway.
Oh, frustration through the roof right now for Hinman. Into the lead, having won the last 2 in a row after having missed the opener completely.
Wow, that was like a birthday present right there.
Oh, boy.
He was thinking about holding on to second. Let's see how this happened here to our leader, Mark Miller, at the top of the S's. We're focused here on the battle for second, but look to your screen right. You may just catch right there. Miller had to get out of the gas, and in a flash, Hinman was through. That was strange, though. I mean, he should have been able to just sweep to the outside without really easing out of the gas pedal, so I'm not sure if he's had to go to some... Shouldn't be having a fuel issue.
I wonder if he had kind of committed to going underneath the Mini, thinking he'd track out, and then the Mini stayed to the inside and surprised him. But nonetheless, it's fierce. But now the number 12, Hinman, under huge pressure from McQuarrie, Brian. Oh boy, look at this. McQuarrie trying the outside now. A lot of exit speed there through the 90, turn 1. Can he stay parked? Hinman has to dip the brake, and McQuarrie, yes.
McQuarrie's got the run. He has got the run. Does he have it to the inside? Not quite. A little bobble there by McQuarrie.
And here comes Miller.
Miller's got a run.
McQuarrie has to defend. Miller going to go to the outside. Another lap car could have used it as a pick. Now, can Miller stay around the outside? He can't.
This is fantastic. The 2 CJ Wilson Porsches run second and third. Do they have anything for Trent Hinman right now? He's got a little bit of a gap.
And white flag coming out next time past start finish. Let's check in once again with Brian. What are you hearing? Well, apparently he's got some sort of technical issue down there in the pits. Miller now closing back up on McQuarrie. And they've got more traffic. Hinman gets around that Mini, the number 73.
Traffic has certainly played a part in this race so far today, Greg, regarding the lead. So, see those guys, they're all scratching the edge of the track limits there off of turn 8. And that was brought up in the drivers' meeting by Spencer Pumpelly. Bill Barfield told him, no, you will get called on that.
Speaking of Spencer, as you look at our Continental Tire 150 race recap, you can see the class leaders right now. One of them is Pumpelly. He stretched another half second into his lead margin in the ST category. And Hinman dearly would like to get by this car if he can, as the white flag is out before he gets to the 90, and he does. Now McQuarrie going to dive to the inside. Nice job.
Miller's going to get a better run, though. He's got speed. He's got better speed than McQuarrie here as we head up to the S's. Hinman looks safe in the lead.
That was a nice job by the number 75, who just moved over. That was Kyle Gimple. Pretty good racecraft, and let them come through. But as you said, McQuarrie did get balked. Does Miller have an option? McQuarrie right down that inside lane into the inner loop once again, Cal.
Totally different dynamic, Greg, though, when it's 2 teammates going at it.
Yeah.
If this was Hinman against one of the CJ Wilson cars, be a different deal, but these guys will respect each other a little bit further than you normally would. They're both hard racers, but you don't want to take out 2 team cars and have that discussion in the transporter tonight.
And that just simply means that as Miller, too, going to be pretty gentle on McQuarrie, you're seeing Hinman ease off into the distance.
What a day right now for Porsche. They run 1, 2, 3 in GS, 1, 2, 3 in 1, 2, 3, 4 in ST.
Unbelievable, and I'm sure for Hinman, you take him, but that one, as you said, Cal, what a gift. That traffic.
That was crazy.
It was.
I mean, I really felt that Miller had enough room on the outside to just sweep around that Mini, but he just suddenly had no speed. Great to catch up with him after this race and say exactly what happened in that moment, but either way, Hinman on his way.
Oh, and a big spin there. That's the number 19 from third, Connor Blom getting it wrong. Meanwhile, here we come into turn 10. One last corner, 11, onto the front straight. And for Trent Hinman and Cameron Castles, third win in a row for Trent, his 6th win in the series. Castle's 3rd win in the series. There you see the crew for Body Motion just absolutely elated. What a story. And in ST, Spencer Pumpelly, last time by, was able to open that margin up to 4 seconds, excuse me. As Trent Hinman is reveling in this one, and here is the number 17, Spencer Pumpelly. And if he can hang on here, it will be his 10th Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge win. However, for the guy who's got such a great resume in racing, his first at Watkins Glen, it'll be the first for teammate Nick Galante, who really did a nice job in his stint.
Yeah, he did an awesome job to set up this victory potentially for Spencer Pumpelly, and that will give them the lead tonight.
Boy, and this is for position here, the 36 Lewis with Blom out of the way, and you wonder how that may have happened. He is now right on the back of the 31 Body Motion entry of Devin Jones.
Oh, look at him big slider through turn 9. Putting it all on the line. Great stuff from Corey Lewis. Corey Lewis and Spencer Pumpelly will share a car on the IMSA WeatherTech Championship tomorrow.
Onto the front straight. Pumpelly giving the 52 a wide berth and comes through and gets that 10th career series win. But for second, Devin Jones hangs on. But as you said, Corey Lewis giving it everything he could in that final lap. And Steve McClear with Blom's moment up into 4th. Blom brings it home in 5th. Welcome back. Trent Hinman climbs out of the winning Body Motion Porsche for the 3rd consecutive event. Big hugs there with Cameron Castles, his co-driver. Unbelievable story unfolding. And let's get down. I think Justin Bell is ready to jump in there and grab an interview.
I'm so ready. Well done, guys. That was amazing. Cameron, Trent, what a finish. Anyone could have had that.
It was unbelievable. Those CJ Wilson cars were really quick today. It was tough to keep up with them. We got really lucky with that caution at the end, but ultimately the strategy, the car that was given to us by the Body Motion Racing crew was unbelievable. Our Cayman GT4 Club Sport was great. Huge thank you to Cameron here for doing a hell of a job in his stint. Continental Tire. I can't believe we pulled that off, but it was a great race. We dictated ourselves correctly in traffic, and ultimately I think that's what did it for us today.
Spectacular job. Celebrate and enjoy it. Spencer Pumpelly, one young fast guy to one mature fast guy and his very capable teammate. Brilliant job. What a race in ST.
I don't know if you guys noticed, but he started dead last. We had a little mix-up in qualifying, and I thought, I'm going to have a lot of work to do when I get in the car. This guy passed 22 cars. I think I only had to pass 3, but huge thanks to our guys at Run Sport 1. Huge thanks to Continental Tire. I mean, everyone here, really great effort, and I'm proud to be a part of it. This guy's the man.
Well, that, of course, he's talking about Nick Galante. What a run to win in ST. Great job down here, guys.
Let's take a look at the results. There's Hinman and Castles with their 3rd straight win. McQuarrie and Bechtelsheimer leading a 2nd, 3rd for CJ Wilson over the pole-sitting car, the 2nd-place car of Mark Miller, and Burkett pole-sitting car 4th, and Carter Eklund. That strategy just not quite paying out for them and ended up in the top 5 spot. And we take a look in Street Tuner. Pumpelly Galante with the win over Devin Jones and Jason Rabe, Corey Lewis, and Matt Diggin. Porsche 1-2-3. McLear fighting back, Cal. Absolutely great run in a very damaged car back into 4th.
Yeah, that was huge for those guys to get big points after having damage, and Porsche sweeping both podiums. That's a big statement to make, and we head from here, Greg, onto another classic road course in just 1 week's time. Canadian Tire Motorsports Park doesn't get any better than the season we're having right now.
Oh, exactly. Almost exactly straight north of the border here from where we are, and another extremely high-speed facility that always produces some absolutely phenomenal racing. Real quick, Cal, now that we've seen the race, what's your take on this new track pavement?
Oh, it's superb. It allows for great racing. We could see it where passes were made around the outside of some of the corners where you couldn't think about having the grip to do it in the past. So done a tremendous job. The track looks superb. Great racing as always at the Glen.
It's a fantastic place and an absolute joy to be here. Not for everybody this weekend, as some of them had some issues, but certainly for the fans, incredibly entertaining. Calvin mentioned it. Next race, Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. You can watch our coverage July 17th. Check your local listings for the specific times. For Calvin, for Brian, and for Justin Bell, I am Greg Creamer. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Take care, everybody.